Big news coming your way, football fans. Hold onto your seats, because what we're about to discuss will absolutely shock you. If you haven't heard already, Tyreek Hill, the NFL's fastest and most dynamic wide receiver, has just been traded from the Miami Dolphins to the Dallas Cowboys in what is being called the biggest trade of the season, maybe even of the decade. Tyreek Hill, affectionately known as Cheetah because of his jaw-dropping speed, will be wearing the star on his helmet, making his debut as a member of one of the most iconic franchises in NFL history. And the deal? Well, it's nothing short of mind-blowing. The Cowboys are shelling out a whopping $180 million for Hill, making this one of the most expensive trades in NFL history. The trade has sent shockwaves through the entire league, leaving fans, analysts, and even players wondering what this means for the future of the NFL. Buckle up, because we're about to break down everything you need to know about this massive move, the impact it'll have on the Cowboys, the Dolphins, and the rest of the NFL landscape. Let's start with the trade details. It all went down in the blink of an eye, and the numbers are staggering. Tyreek Hill, who was traded to the Miami Dolphins just a season ago after spending the first part of his career with the Kansas City Chiefs, has already made his way out of Miami, and it didn't take long for the Cowboys to swoop in and secure a deal. The terms of the trade are unbelievable. Dallas is sending a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and another second-round pick in the 2025 NFL Draft to the Dolphins in exchange for Tyreek Hill's services. But that's not all. Hill isn't just heading to Dallas for the standard trade package. He's also receiving a massive contract extension that will pay him a reported $180 million over the next 6 years. Yes, you heard that right, $180 million for a wide receiver who, just a few years ago, was considered an explosive but somewhat unpredictable player. Now, Tyreek Hill is set to become one of the highest-paid players in the NFL, and he's heading to the Cowboys to make some serious noise. The deal represents a massive investment from Dallas, but the question on everyone's mind is, was it worth it? Let's take a deeper dive into why the Dallas Cowboys made this move. The Cowboys have always been known for their star power, but they've been missing that true game-changer on offense for a while. Sure, they've had impressive offensive weapons like Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, and CeeDee Lamb, but what they've lacked is that explosive, game-breaking wide receiver who can take over a game in the blink of an eye. Tyreek Hill is exactly that. With Hill on the roster, the Cowboys now have a player who can stretch the field like no one else. His speed alone forces defensive coordinators to make tough decisions. Do you stack the box to stop the run, or do you put your cornerbacks in one-on-one coverage with Hill, knowing full well that if Dak Prescott hits him in stride, it could be a 60-yard touchdown in a heartbeat? There's no easy answer. Hill has the ability to change the dynamic of a game with a single play, and having a player like him on the team makes the Cowboys an instant Super Bowl contender. Combine him with CeeDee Lamb, a budding star in his own right, and you have one of the most dangerous receiving duos in the entire league. The Cowboys already have a solid quarterback in Dak Prescott, and now they have the explosive weapons on the outside to match. Of course, this trade doesn't just affect the Cowboys, it's a monumental shift for the Miami Dolphins as well. When Tyreek Hill was traded to Miami last season, it was supposed to be the start of a new era for the Dolphins. With Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback and Hill bringing his speed and playmaking ability to the offense, Miami fans were cautiously optimistic about their future. But just 1 year into his tenure with the Dolphins, Hill is already on the move again. So, what's behind this decision? For the Dolphins, it seems like a long-term play. In return for Hill, Miami is receiving multiple high draft picks, including a first-round pick and a third-round pick, which gives them the ability to continue to build around Tua and add more weapons to their offense. The Dolphins have a solid foundation with players like Jalen Waddle, but they're clearly looking toward the future, and adding draft capital will give them flexibility to make moves in the coming seasons. This trade might sting in the short term, but in the long run, it could set the Dolphins up for future success, especially if they can continue to develop their young quarterback and build through the draft. But let's not forget about the bigger picture here. This trade has massive implications not just for the Cowboys and Dolphins, but for the entire NFL. What does this deal say about the current state of the league? It shows that teams are willing to go all in to secure elite talent. The Cowboys, in particular, are clearly in win-now mode, and with Tyreek Hill on their roster, they're sending a message to the rest of the NFC that they're not playing around. The Cowboys have a chance to make a deep playoff run, and they're doing everything in their power to make sure they have the firepower to compete with the best. The addition of Hill gives them a legitimate shot at a Super Bowl title, but it also raises the stakes for the rest of the league. If other teams want to keep up with the Cowboys' new-look offense, they'll need to make some moves of their own. On the flip side, the trade also shows that the NFL is in a time of significant change. We've seen a shift in how teams approach roster building, especially when it comes to acquiring top-tier talent. No longer are teams relying solely on the draft to build their teams now. It's all about making big trades and locking down high-priced players who can make an immediate impact. This deal marks a turning point in the league's approach to roster construction. With the salary cap and the importance of managing long-term contracts, teams are being more aggressive in their efforts to bring in elite players who can elevate their franchises. The fact that a team like the Cowboys is willing to pay $180 million for a player like Tyreek Hill shows just how much the league values top-tier talent, even at a premium price. Now, let's take a look at the financial side of things. For Tyreek Hill, this trade is a career-defining moment. After a season with the Dolphins, Hill now finds himself in a much more lucrative situation, with a record-breaking contract that will ensure his financial security for the foreseeable future. The $180 million extension makes him one of the highest-paid wide receivers in the NFL, and it solidifies his place among the league's elite. But this deal is about more than just money. It's about legacy. Tyreek Hill is joining a team with a storied history of success, and if he can help lead the Cowboys to a Super Bowl, his legacy will be cemented as one of the greatest wide receivers of his generation. He's already been one of the most dominant players in the league, and now, with the Cowboys, he has the chance to take his career to even greater heights. In the grand scheme of things, this trade has the potential to reshape the balance of power in the NFL. The Cowboys, already a talented team, now have one of the most dangerous offenses in the league. With Tyreek Hill's speed, Dak Prescott's arm, and CeeDee Lamb's hands, they are going to be a nightmare for opposing defenses. The NFC has just gotten a whole lot tougher, and the road to the Super Bowl just became even more challenging. But it's not just about the Cowboys, it's about the league as a whole. This trade signals a shift in how teams are approaching roster building. It shows that teams are willing to make bold moves to secure elite talent, and it will likely lead to even more high-profile trades in the future. As we look ahead to the next season, all eyes will be on Tyreek Hill and the Dallas Cowboys. Can they live up to the hype? Will they be able to capitalize on their new offensive weapons and make a serious run at the Super Bowl? Or will the pressure of such a massive trade weigh on them? Only time will tell, but one thing is for certain, the NFL just got a whole lot more interesting. The Dallas Cowboys have made a statement, and the rest of the league will be watching closely to see what comes next. The biggest trade of the year has just gone down, and it's going to be a wild ride from here on out.